As the story begins, we see a girl tied to a pillar. She had been kidnapped. When the kidnapper approached her, she started crying and begging for her life, saying, "Let me go. I'll give you as much money as you want." But the kidnapper said, "Shut up. I don't want money. I crave your blood, your body." Saying this, he untied her and dragged her into another room, tying her to a chair. Then, he brought her unconscious boyfriend in front of her. The girl begged for their lives once more, pleading with him to let them go. In anger, he replied, "Don't you understand? I don't want money. I'm doing this for my daughter." The girl, again offering money, said, "Whatever your daughter needs, I'll give it to her. I'll cover all her medical expenses, just please let us go." But the man's answer was still no. He said, "Your money can't save my daughter because she's already dead. And now, to bring her back, I'll offer Satan both of your corpses in exchange for her return." As soon as she said that, a strange living doll stood in front of them, and seeing it, the girl got terribly scared. She couldn't say anything now. In front of her eyes, a bhakta, a person, tapes her boyfriend's mouth and, while chanting some spells, stabs his body with a strange knife. Blood started pouring out of the boy's body, which a bhakta began collecting in a glass. The girl couldn't bear to watch this, and to free herself, she shook her head and managed to free her hands. She ran away from there, but where could she run? It was a deserted island. After running for a while, she became exhausted and stopped to catch her breath. At that moment, she felt someone was behind her. As soon as she turned around, she saw Satana, who grabbed her and brought her back to the same farmhouse. But this time, they tied her up again. After finishing the work, a bhakta went back to his lounge and turned on the TV, where he saw a documentary. This documentary was about Zoe, who makes documentaries about strange places around the world and brings the real truth to people. Her team of 6 was her strength, and all of them loved discovering new places. That's where we meet Dory, one of the team members, the youngest, and the team's social media manager. She was handing Zoe some emails and related forms at that time. Zoe wasn't paying much attention to most of them, except for one. It was an invitation in the form of a letter. A man was inviting Zoe and her team to his island, which was famous for many scary stories. Upon hearing about the island, Zoe and her entire team become excited because, finally, after a long time, they have found something very interesting for their documentary. The scene cuts and shows the island again, where the kidnapper approaches the girl. The girl is now crying. She knows the man will not show her any mercy. But what happens is completely unexpected. The kidnapper starts apologizing to her, saying, "Forgive me for all the suffering you have endured because of me. I apologize for everything." Hearing this, the girl is shocked. But before she can fully trust the kidnapper, he grabs her face and breaks her neck, killing her. Now, the scene shifts to Joey's team, who are making arrangements to go to the island. Strangely, every boatman they talk to refuses to take them to the island. After a long search, they finally find a boatman who agrees but asks for a lot of money. For them, money is not a big issue, so they pay and reach the island. At first, everything seems good. The island is beautiful and green, and its weather and scenery delight them. However, they are unaware of the danger hidden behind this beauty. As they venture further, they start seeing strange things, dolls hanging everywhere on the island. The boatman drops them off here, points them in the direction of the farmhouse, and says they must go on their own from here. They find this a bit strange but are excited about making the documentary. The hanging dolls around the place seem interesting to them, so Joey starts filming the documentary's history and their journey right there. Meanwhile, the boatman, who was heading back alone, started feeling a strange fear, as if someone was following him, and the dolls hanging around seemed to be watching him closely. Feeling all this, he began to run away, but suddenly, the Santana doll appeared in front of him. This was the same doll he had heard stories about. He pleaded with the doll, "Please, let me go. Spare me. I just came here to drop some people off. You can kill them all, but let me go." However, Santana showed no mercy and grabbed his face, twisting his neck to kill him. The scene then shifts back to Joey, who was explaining the history of the island. There was once a man on the island whose daughter had died. After her death, something happened to his mind, and he hung dolls all over the island, believing that his daughter's spirit would somehow become trapped in one of the hanging dolls. This way, he thought he would be able to meet his daughter again and again. Now, Veronica, a member of their group, wanders off alone on the island. Soon, she spots a house nearby and calls the entire team over. At first, the house seemed normal, like any ordinary person's home. But a strange thing happened. The door opened on its own for them. Joey thought this might be Julian's house, the man who had written the letter inviting them here. She called out, "Julian, Julian," but getting no response, the whole group entered the house. The interior seemed completely normal, although they had expected Julian's house to be more eerie. They decided to film the second part of their documentary here. Joey began speaking, and the cameraman started recording. While filming, the cameraman noticed Santana sitting right behind Joey on the couch. He was terrified and immediately stopped recording, telling his partners what he had seen. Everyone was already a little scared, but just then, Julian appeared from behind. His sudden entrance startled everyone, but he quickly calmed them down and welcomed them to the island. It was nighttime, and Julian even lit a bonfire for them and started talking. He told them that many people used to visit the island. Initially, he thought they came to share in his grief, but over time, he realized that people only came here to enjoy themselves. So, he stopped allowing people to come to the island. Julian then tells Joey that he invited their team here to let them know that his daughter didn't actually die. Hearing this, everyone sitting around is shocked, wondering what Julian is talking about. Julian then explains, "My daughter didn't die. Her soul is still on this island, but her body isn't. And in her memory, I hang dolls around the island so that her spirit can find peace and remain connected to the dolls." After finishing his story, Julian advises them, "The nights on the island can get cold and silent. You should sleep with blankets. If you want, you can stay at my house." However, they all refuse, with Joey explaining that they need to shoot some footage at night and don't want to disturb him. She assures him that they'll be fine in their tents. Julian heads back to his house, and the group retires to their tents. Meanwhile, a couple from the group goes to the basement of a nearby farmhouse to spend the night. They couldn't sleep, and soon they heard someone laughing outside. At first, they thought Veronica and Tori were playing a prank on them, but suddenly Santana appeared in front of them. Before they could react, Santana attacked the man and killed him. His wife screamed in fear, and within the next second, Santana killed her as well. At this time, Veronica and Tori were exploring the island, where they saw many dolls hanging around. Tori believed this was genuinely some paranormal activity, not just a scary story. However, Veronica refused to accept this, leading to an argument between them. In anger, Veronica left Tori behind on the island and returned. Tori then went to Joey, who was writing a script. It was very cold, and she didn't have a blanket. She told Joey, "I'm going to Julian's house to get a blanket." When she approached the house, she accidentally made some noise, and Julian came out himself. Tori explained she had come to get a blanket. Hearing this, Julian invited her inside, offered her a drink, and they started talking. Tori asked Julian, "Can I ask what happened to your daughter?" After thinking for a moment, he replied, "Actually, one day, the two sisters were playing together." But before he could finish his sentence, Joey, in shock, interrupted, "Two sisters? Do you have another daughter?" Hearing this, Julian angrily slammed his hand on the table and said, "Go." "I don't want to talk about it." Joey was terrified by his sudden outburst. Realizing his mistake, Julian quickly apologized to her, saying, "Actually, it's just very emotional for me. I can't keep repeating these things, it brings me pain. And maybe, in trying to hide that pain, I lashed out in anger. I'm sorry." Joey, understanding his emotions, said, "It's okay." Julian then brought her a blanket, and Joey returned to her camp to sleep. They all fell asleep, and in the middle of the night, we saw someone suddenly standing behind Joey, grabbing her head and breaking her neck, killing her. But then Joey's eyes opened, and we realized everything we had just seen was only a dream she had. In her dream, Santana had killed her. Joey woke up in fear, only to see it was morning, and the rest of her team members were already awake and waiting for her. 2 of their group members were still missing, those who we saw get killed the previous night. Their absence was initially attributed to irresponsible behavior by the group. Despite their absence, the others decided to start their work without them, but Joey disagreed. She believed they might have gotten into some trouble and thought they should go search for them. Listening to her, one of her teammates said, "All right, fine. Tori and I will go ahead with the shoot. You two can go look for them." Meanwhile, Tori and another guy had reached Julian's house, which was locked at the time. Julian himself was in the forest, standing in front of a tree with a doll dressed in green hanging from it. He smiled at the doll in a strange way, and the doll seemed to smile back at him. Inside Julian's house, Tori and the other guy waited for Julian. After a long wait, Julian didn't return. The guy set up the filming equipment and sat down on the couch. As he sat, he noticed a lot of pictures on the table. As he looked through them, he found a picture of Tori among them. Seeing this, he realized that they had been lured here according to a plan. It was Tori who had given Joey the invitation letter. Before he could confirm this with Tori, she revealed the truth herself. She told him that she was Julian's daughter. As soon as she said this, she hit him hard on the head with something, killing him. Julian arrived just then, praising Tori for her actions, saying, "My daughter and I are very pleased with you." The scene shifts to show Verona and Joey, who were out searching for their 2 missing members. While walking through the forest, the 2 started arguing over something. In the midst of their argument, Santana suddenly appeared in front of them. Verona initially thought someone was playing a prank on them and began laughing. However, her laughter quickly stopped when Joey informed her that this was Santana and that they were in real danger. Joey mentioned that Santana had also appeared in her dream the previous night and warned that if they wanted to survive, they needed to run. Both of them began running, but Joey soon noticed a shortcut and called out to Verona, urging her to follow. However, Verona didn't listen, and the 2 got separated. As Joey was running, Julian suddenly appeared from behind and covered her mouth with a cloth, knocking her unconscious. Meanwhile, Verona had hidden inside an old house. To her horror, she found the bodies of their 2 missing companions inside the house, and she was struck with terror. Before she could react, Santana appeared and struck her on the head, rendering her unconscious as well. When both Verona and Joey regained consciousness, they found themselves in Julian's house. Upon seeing the body of another one of their companions, Joey was overwhelmed with grief and regret, realizing that her decision to come here had cost her friends their lives. She couldn't believe that all her friends were dead. Just then, Tori appeared in front of them, alive and unharmed, much to their shock. Tori revealed, "There's no need to be surprised. I'm the one who brought you all here." Tori then showed them photos from her childhood, revealing pictures of herself with Julian and Santana. Hearing this, Verona began cursing Tori, but Tori quickly put a knife to her throat. Seeing this, Joey begged for their lives, pleading with Tori to spare them. Tori coldly replied, "No, your lives can't be spared because Santana has taken a liking to your bodies. You will both die, and your sacrifice will be the most satisfying to Santana." During their conversation, Julian arrived and told them, "I'm sorry, but we have to kill you because doing so will make Santana happy." He and Tori then injured Verona and Joey, collecting their blood in a bowl while reciting spells. Those same spells Julian had spoken in the movie's Ritual. They needed to mix the blood of all the deceased with that of the 2 women. As Tori approached Verona, she bit Tori's hand with such force that it cut her skin and blood started to flow. This blood mixed with the blood of the others, ruining the ritual. Seeing this, Julian panicked and decided he needed to bring the bodies of the others to fix the ritual. However, taking advantage of the moment, Joey managed to free herself and escape. Julian chased her but only got so far before she tricked him and made it to an old house, where the corpses of her former companions were. Julian, searching for her, arrived at the same location, but this gave Joey a chance to hide and attack him. As soon as Julian appeared, she struck him with a steel rod, killing him instantly. At that moment, Tori entered, devastated by the sight of her father's dead body. Before she could say anything to Joey, Joey killed her too. Now Joey was left in tears, knowing that all she had done was not her own will but driven by dark forces. While she was still lost in these thoughts, Santana suddenly appeared, choking her and killing her as well. Afterward, Santana completed her ritual, mixing all the blood together and transforming herself into a human body. The story concludes with Santana now living alone on the island, with Joey and her entire team dead. Santana waits for more innocent people like Joey to fulfill her sinister desires, and with this, the tale comes to an end. I hope you have liked this movie recap. Please like, share and subscribe for more real recaps.